My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California.
It is currently Friday, August 30th, 2024. This is audio documentation to be added to the podcast, and the link to view the evidence of the people of the state, which is the prosecution of the state of California. The people of the state are in the shoes of the state. So when I'm documenting the people of the state, exhibiting demon possession, engaged in criminal surveillance, engaged in federal stalking, I am documenting the state of California, who the people of the state are maliciously acting on behalf of while the state of California engages in criminal surveillance. And I am simultaneously exposing demon possession, what demon possession is looking like and behaving like, the high-level deception that Satan is engaging in, which you are able to deduce the presence of Satan through the unnatural environment that surrounds over a hotel, while the demon-possessed who will be prosecuted, this is a hotel filled with defendants, in other words, and defendants surround this hotel as I am ceaselessly subject to this criminal system, which is a sex offense because I'm inside of a private space. This is how a government's going to be prosecuted for criminal surveillance and the ways in which the government is engaging in that system, and doing so with an ongoing, vigorous, and very highly psychotic, which is going to translate into, in other words, the prosecution for terrorism, while the entity is seeking to obstruct justice. That is, and I'm not laughing again because it's funny. I am laughing because of the psychotic level of desperation that I am confronted with when I am publishing evidence onto the venue of the internet. And this is to inform the world. This is to inform not only about the public safety concern regarding the reality of Satan, the reality of how concerned Satan is with you and every aspect of your life, let alone the fact that I am exposing and criminalizing the satanic system that the state of California is engaging in. And it's also showing what is literally, you saw Carlos group stalking in the lobby this morning while a fake sun is in alignment to this window inside of 9750 KeyPointe Avenue, the Holiday Inn on KeyPointe and Main Street in Hesperia, California. And I'm only sounding like I'm laughing because I mean it with every fiber in my body. Carlos is going to federal prison. Carlos is not the only third party who is demon possessed. You see him group stalking on video, and you know that he's group stalking because that's not the son that's in alignment with that hotel where he is employed at what is revealed as a crime scene, and he is acting in the shoes of the government, which is an intolerable level of criminal conduct. And Carlos is engaging in conduct which is no different than the ongoing conspiracy to murder, which terrorists such as Osama bin Laden have been identified as. And Carlos is not only going to be prosecuted for terrorism, he's going to federal prison. And Carlos is, again, just symbolic with regard to the defendants that fill the Holiday Inn in Hesperia at 9750 KeyPointe Avenue that have been engaging in what I've been documenting on screenshots and in images, which is what you'll see. It is symbolic regarding the ongoing criminal effort by the state of California that is literally seeking to stop that which will not be stopped. But this is seeking to stop. This is literally the government that is engaged in a real-time, ongoing, ceaseless, demonic effort to murder and kidnap an American citizen. This is why you're engaging in criminal surveillance. This is why you're group stalking. So you're engaging in this criminal system that's no longer a secret. And the American citizen that exposes that demonic system, that exposes what shall be prosecuted as terrorism in the U.S., that same government continuously engages in it. And then it also is engaging in what is so spectacular regarding the criminal conduct and the level of desperation, which is a threat to your life. The government's desperation and ongoing exhibition of demon possession while doing it, demonic methods, which is serving to terrorize you, harass you, sexually violate you, and further threaten you, your safety, your well-being, your life, your liberty. And this is all relevant to the criminal acts of obstruction on the venue of the internet. And I'm referencing Title 18, 22618, subsections 1 and 2. And I'm speaking to third parties such as Carlos. This is a Latino male who is literally sitting, standing in engineered light while a fake sun is in alignment, perfect alignment with my person, the location where I'm at, and my location, the address, the ecological address, the latitude and longitude, the direction that I'm standing, the time of day, the direction, the placement of the engineered light inside of this hotel, which you see my shadow, which is appearing across the room on the wall upright, which is speaking to the angle of light. All of this is you're going to analyze, which is nothing other than the specific environment where Carlos, a third party, a demon, all of this is known, who's going to federal prison. Okay. And so Carlos is being documented. Carlos is not the only employee that's on the record stalking today. And Holiday Inn is going to produce all of the evidence of those who are reporting to work on an ongoing basis, engage in criminal conduct with regard to federal group stalking and monitoring, and not any lawful or private activity with regard to arriving at this venue and engaging in state surveillance with the demons, the defendants who are checking in and out of Holiday Inn's rooms. All right. So the entity, I want to be clear, this is prefacing what I want to document now. I am uploading evidence of what is literally exaggerated stalling of internet. And this is, again, the entity. It takes literally a matter of seconds, if not a couple of minutes, to download the videos off of the Google Drive onto your whatever device you're using, and then upload it to YouTube, which is what I'm doing. Very simple procedure. And it does not require high-level Wi-Fi or super high, fast Wi-Fi at all. In addition to that, but nonetheless, I've still been engaging. The entity is slowing it down. You're talking about 2+ hours to download my videos and then upload it to YouTube. So, and I mean to download 2+ hours and then to upload it an additional 2+ hours. I'm still getting it done. I want to make sure the more that I document, and this is what I'm going to document specifically, because Holiday Inn, the people of the state, the commercial actor, not different from Marriott Bonvoy, who does not have any say over any of the Courtyard by Marriott or Town Place Suites by Marriott hotels in California and in Las Vegas, Nevada, while it's remaining over Hesperia, over literally not just Hesperia anywhere. It's over the Holiday Inn in Hesperia at 9750 in alignment with the entrance doors, the windows that where the dining area is, and specifically in perfect alignment with my hotel room window on the 3rd floor that's facing the Motel 6. Very particular, very peculiar, specific location of the light source, which is under no circumstances anywhere in Los Angeles over Alvarado Gardens, nowhere in Las Vegas, Nevada, nowhere over any, in other words, of the Courtyard by Marriott or the Town Place by Marriott Suites addresses where I am documenting the phenomenon. A sun is remaining. It's over the top of my head, but that couldn't possibly be the sun when I am now in Hesperia, and there's only one sun, not 14. I will continue to repeat that very obvious fact because it's speaking to where Carlos is going in its federal prison. And if Carlos is not a natural-born citizen, just like I stated in that video this morning where I captured the sunrise, okay, during the 6 o'clock hour, 6 a.m. and 12 hours later at 6:58 p.m. approximately, the light source is still in Hesperia in perfect alignment with my hotel room window, which is inside of the same building. And you can see the engineer light, my shadow appearing inside of the depths, upright, appearing at the opposite end of my hotel room, which is speaking to very close presence of a light source and the remaining presence of a light source 12 hours later. Again, evidence speaking to the demon possession and the criminal conduct on behalf of a government Carlos is not welcome to engage, nor can lawfully engage in any malicious or obvious conduct on behalf of the state of California, which is federal group stalking and monitoring and federal stalking, while the defendants who fill the hotel room of Holiday Inn are present. And I've documented this in screenshots because what's occurring while I am uploading the evidence, which again, I'm uploading it onto my communication device, my cell phone, which is again something that takes a matter of seconds. Again, the entity that's monitoring, as you use a device, it familiarizes itself while the entity is monitoring you, and then it makes what it takes seconds to do. As you repeat that same task, then it will take longer because the entity is engaged in federal stalking, monitoring whatever devices but you have to use it in order for that slowing down process, which is criminal obstruction of justice. Again, Carlos is going to federal prison. So the entity is engaging in this conduct, and I want to document specifically the ongoing threat to my life while I'm subject to very demonic behavior. And this is, again, the ratcheting conduct, the psychotic level of monitoring, which is, again, demons who are stalking and monitoring, keeping you under surveillance and engaged in surveillance on the internet. And that level of desperation, which is directly relevant and commensurate to the demonic activity inside of my hotel room. Not only am I going to civilly prosecute, you're talking about Carlos, who's going to federal prison for that, which I suffer at Holiday Inn, who is engaging in terrorism. Holiday Inn is a domestic terrorist. In other words, a commercial actor fully engaged in state surveillance. And so that's how all of this evidence is working. And the defendants that surround are fully engaged in that. And so I want to document the terrorism that I'm subject to. My bed, you can see in the images and on the video, there's 2 beds in my hotel room, and I am sleeping in the bed closest to, farthest away from the window, in other words, because that's the vantage point where I'm capturing it. And my bed is repeatedly vibrating. All right. There's nothing that anyone underneath on the second floor is going to do to create, in the same way I can't reach the ceiling, and there's nothing that you're doing while you're on the ground that's going to cause any vibration of the ceiling above. This is entirely demonic. And so there's also nothing that any demons, let me correct that. There's nothing that any person, no individual, or even a collective group of people in any room or on the streets or on the roads and the highways surrounding, and even in the sky space, that can create vibration of my bed on the 3rd floor inside of this Holiday Inn, where I captured that which is appearing as the sun, but it's not possibly the sun because it's present in alignment to me at the same address, the Holiday Inn in Hesperia, for 12 plus hours today. That is the demonic activity that I'm subject to inside a Holiday Inn, which Holiday Inn is going to be prosecuted for. They're going to compensate me for the terrorism that I'm subject to of a demonic nature inside of this venue, where they are also engaged in federal stalking, which again is a basis for Carlos to go to federal prison. The entity is doing so while that level of desperation continues to increase. The air conditioner in my room goes on and off. As I touch my phone right now, the air conditioner is not turning on and on pursuant to the temperature that I set. It's turning on and off with regard to what I'm doing physically and what I'm doing on my communication device. That's directly relevant also to utility companies such as LADWP and the Inland Empire. It is the SoCal Edison and SoCal Gas, for example. But nonetheless, this is a means whereby a government is keeping you under surveillance, and your utilities inside of your apartment or your home or your hotel room, where I'm at, are a means of creating activity where you will note a sun is remaining over you 11, 12 plus hours, where you're subject to the phenomenon such as an isolated earthquake. That's what I'm subject to inside of my hotel room. While the entity is engaging things such as demons who sound as though they are giants, all right? And they are creating amplified audible activity and also sensational activity. This is the level of terrorism that I'm subject to, which is not only serving to monitor me, but this is also a threat that the demon possessed who are engaged in federal stalking pose to my life and my safety and my well-being. Holiday Inn is going to compensate, and Carlos is going to federal prison for it. Carlos is going to federal prison for the level of impunity that he acts with, while the defendants that Carlos acted to fill this venue, to engage in surveillance with him on behalf of the state of California, that's also why Carlos is going to federal prison. And if Carlos is not a natural born citizen, Carlos will not only serve prolonged time in federal prison, Carlos is also then going to be deported. All right. So I just want to be clear as I'm breaking down the systematic means whereby you are prosecuting the population. And not only am I going to continue to upload all of the evidence, this is documentation of what the population, the entire state of California, engages in on a ceaseless basis. This is exactly what the demon possessed a terrorist organization, which Dominic Choi, who's going to be removed from his position, his dangerous and corrupt leadership in conformity to the state's pattern of conduct. This is terrorism that I was subject to while that entity was stalking day and night in helicopters while the sun was rising at Alvarado Gardens, not anywhere in Hesperia. If it was in Hesperia, it would not have been anywhere in Los Angeles over Alvarado Gardens, rising in alignment to my apartment and setting in alignment to my apartment, which is in conformity to the pattern of conduct that you're seeing in Hesperia, but outside of conformity with the natural environment. This is in reference and speaking to and corroborating the terrorism that I'm subject to inside of a private space, which again, Holiday Inn is going to be prosecuted for a sex offense that the people of the state, that is the state of California, is engaging in, while the level of the desperation of mentally ill psychopaths who are keeping me under surveillance, this is the demon-possessed population, continuously exhibit while I continuously upload and publish the evidence of their criminal conduct. Indeed, while I publish evidence about what the entity was doing in 2022, in 2024, in February, March, April, May, June, and July, up until before coming to Hesperia, California, I am prosecuting the demons who are in San Bernardino County in Hesperia, California. All right. So I just want to be clear. This is the prosecution of one entity, and that's also known because that's exactly why the identical pattern of conduct is occurring while I'm in Hesperia, California. This is also why the demon possessed, whose faces and names and social security numbers and conduct is not captured and not being published, but yet the demons are fully engaged and interested in obstructing justice by trying to stop the ability to publish it. That's why I'm subject to that, by the way. But nonetheless, I want to document this because Carlos is going to federal prison for it, and it's justice. And this is exactly how any entity, the people of the state, will be prosecuted likewise with regard to the threat that the American citizen suffers while you are surrounded by mentally ill and obsessed demons who exhibit their demon possession and threaten your life and safety and well-being and liberty, while they exhibit more and more desperation while continuously engaging in that criminal system of state surveillance and federal stalking. And so I want to make sure that I document that. It's 10:09 p.m. Again, the link for the Google Drive for the evidence captured today, where you will see a sunrise outside of the windows of this Holiday Inn at 9750 Key Point Avenue, Hesperia, California, 92345. And you will also see the sunset through the windows of the same exact building while I'm on the third floor facing the Motel 6. The same Motel 6 where I am literally standing in front of that building, and at 11:39 in the morning, that light source is at the top of my head, which is in conformity to the pattern of conduct where the sun is rising on the east side, if you will, generally referencing of my person, and then setting on the west side of my person, which is exactly what you'll see documented while you look at a Google map, which is what I'm also providing big picture analysis, macro level. The fake sun is rising on one side of Holiday Inn and setting on the opposite side of Holiday Inn, which again, Carlos is going to federal prison for that. If you're unsure about who Carlos is, you will see him at the desk of the Holiday Inn this morning in the video, captured at approximately 6:25 a.m. if I recollect correctly. And it's nonetheless the one of the first videos that are captured, and he's going to federal prison for it. The demon that you see mopping, that's called pacing, an engineered light, not sunlight. And that's the malice with which demons are monitoring you. And they also do it with the demons who are filling the hotel, coming in and walking through the entrance doors, walking downstairs, walking out, getting on and off the elevator, coming to get food, or just walking in and then walking out for purposes of crossing path. They're doing so on the roads and the highways. They're doing so while they are surrounding the venue. And this is the prosecution of the entire shopping plaza, which is, again, a substantial and a tremendous prosecution, civilly and criminally, of the High Desert Gateway Shopping Center, who's fully engaged in a sex offense, who's fully engaged in, you have multiple restaurants and stores and all manner of commercial means of criminal surveillance of civil and criminal prosecution. So I want to be clear, the level of pockets that I'm going to drain with regard to also the prosecution of the people of the state who are fully engaged in the ceaseless act of federal stalking with the demons who surround in close proximity at Holiday Inn. They're under the same light source, keeping me under surveillance while that fake sun remains over a hotel in alignment to me. And so that's just one example of the means whereby you are prosecuting a whole population, a ratio of it, and they're going to be prosecuted for terrorism. And it includes terrorists such as Target, where you will see the absence of any sun over that Target, where I'm capturing it right over my head while I'm at the Target at 9:29 in the morning. But when I'm remaining inside of the hotel across the street at the Holiday Inn, looking at a distance at that Target, there's no sun over that Target. It's right over my head while I'm inside of the same hotel where the fake sun remains all day long, which again, both instances are speaking to the criminal system of the P.O.C. because there would never be a sun here while it's remaining over what is the Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles. And even before that, that's also impossible because the entity kept a fake sun all day long at both times that I just referenced, from sunrise, even including until sunset at the Ovid Family Community Library, at the Ontario Economy Inn at 231 South Euclid Avenue in Ontario. And this is how you're prosecuting the state of California that's engaging in what is a demonic system of surveillance, where the demonic environment where you have a sunrise and a sunset at one address, that's demonic. It's scientifically impossible. That's a reference to the demonic. This is how you're also aware of what Satan is doing right in front of your face. Satan is very real. Satan uses also people. And the demonic environment that surrounds me, a commercial actor, Holiday Inn, whose owners are demon possessed, whose employees are demon possessed, who are fully engaged in this demonic system in the U.S. of state surveillance. And that is the prosecution civilly and criminally of Holiday Inn. And this is how all those facts work together. And so I want to make sure I specifically document that with every video that I upload and download onto YouTube and from the Google Drive, my bed is vibrating, which is it's literally impossible that that's naturally occurring. The amplified audible activity of traffic, those are demons that are listening to the truth that I'm speaking. They're doing so while a fake sun is rising and setting. And as they do so, it's speaking to impunity, which is, again, literally Carlos begging the federal judge who's going to prosecute him for putting him in federal prison for years, which is exactly what Carlos deserves. You're not going to federal prison for a weekend. You're not going for 6 months. Okay, so this is speaking to impunity. And remember, Carlos represents the entity, while a demon on KeyPointe and or Main, or even in the parking lot at the High Desert Gateway, is amplified in volume inside of my hotel room, which is impossible audible activity. And while I'm suffering an isolated earthquake on my bed inside of my hotel room on the 3rd floor, while I am inside of a hotel where the sun is rising and setting, while I am looking at impossible light directly pointing to the threat that everyone poses, while that directed light, the direct evidence of federal group stalking and monitoring, you are facing a threat while everyone is present around you. You're going to be compensated for that threat, for the psychological harms that you suffer, and also the real-time threat, ceaseless threat to your life, safety, and liberty that the entity, both the people of the state and the government, poses while group stalking you via the people of the state. You're going to be compensated for all that, and you are going to federal prison for it. Carlos is not going to federal prison for merely 6 months. Okay, so I just want to make sure I document that, and I want to make sure that I specify the level of harassment and terrorism that I'm subject to, all because an entity that conspired to murder and kidnap an American citizen who is now surrounding them and choking the life out of them with evidence which is inexplicable and insurmountable, and you under no circumstances will continue to further that threat, while you will suffer the consequences for the criminal conduct that you sought to engage in maliciously to the demise of that American citizen. Only a psychopath, only the mentally ill, who are the demon possessed, by the way, engage in such behaviors. All right, and while you suffer that, commercial actors such as Holiday Inn, they will compensate you to a degree to which federal laws that exist have never legislated before. And that's because you cannot quantify the threat to your life that a government poses, keeping you under surveillance and federally stalking you to obstruct justice. All right, when you're subject to the demonic environment that Holiday Inn is surrounding me with, while filling its hotels with demons to group stalk me, with Holiday Inn, who's group stalking, and with the state of California. Okay, it's currently, again, 10:16 p.m. The drive, the link to access the Google Drive, which will be included in the description box for the podcast, again, captured today, August 30th, 2024, will be provided so that you can see, again, the phenomenon, and then you're mindful of, you can look at YouTube today, right now, as in August 30th, 2024, and look at the impossible, that there would never be a sun in Hesperia because of the asininity that I was surrounded by in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens, and I had the wherewithal, the presence of mind to document it. Why? Because Satan is a liar. Satan is utilizing the state of California. Satan uses people, in other words, to engage in what is terrorism in the U.S., which is revealing the absence of any privacy, the illusion of a free society, and the reality that we are not as free as you're made to think that we are. But contrary to that, enforcing what are actual laws that are sitting on the books, regardless of whether the state of California respects them or not, the state of California, which is the people of the state as well, will be forced to respect the laws because I'm going to prosecute them under them. Right. So that's what I wanted to make sure I went to the effort to articulate, because this is evidence which is going to serve for the real prosecution and going to federal prison for what, again, remember, I'm advocating on behalf of the ordinary target individual who is intended. This system is designed to cause that person who has no evidence, who has no voice, who is reasonably intimidated and fearful for their life and safety, and sitting around questioning their own sanity because of this demonic system that the public entity that's engaged in public corruption intentionally and deliberately surrounds them with. Because of that, you are going to federal prison for it. And in the same way you sought to murder and kidnap someone, you sought to take another's liberty, you sought to silence them while they enforce their rights, you're going to federal prison for that. And you are no less of an animal than any terrorist that's coming from abroad. It's more despicable that you have the audacity to be in this country. And I will repeat, if you are not a natural born citizen, if you have been granted the privilege to be here, you can count down the days after you get out of federal prison to where you will be shipped back to wherever you came from, because you are not welcome here. All right. It is currently 10:19 p.m. and I want to make sure that I documented that. I just got through uploading the folder for July 1st, 2024. There were 17 videos, and I am sitting in my hotel room suffering all manner of demonic environment while highly desperate demons. That is the state of California, and that's a threat to my life, which I'm going to be compensated for. And that's also a threat to my life that people are going to federal prison for. In the state of California, let me be clear, the demons of the San Bernardino County Fire Department, the demons of American Medical Response, and every other demon utilizing ambulances to engage in state surveillance, and the demon-possessed and terrorist organization, the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, they are simultaneously being documented. While I document the people of the state, you are documenting the state of California. Nobody's avoiding anything at all. What the entity does, they're pointing at each other. This is how you are surrounded by a cycle of evidence showing the identical pattern of conduct. And so this is speaking to real-time consequences for the terrorism that I remain subject to, while a highly desperate and mentally ill population, which is a threat to your life, continuously engages in criminal acts of obstruction of justice. All right, that's going to translate to time in federal prison. That's going to translate to damages. All right, again, it's 10:20 p.m. on August 30th, 2024, and this is P.O.C.